In our current world, it's easy to feel as if you aren't enough. Whether it be the messages from television or social media, you're always told that your competence lies outside of you. Women have their self-esteem lowering messages directed towards them. But in this case, many men are told they are not masculine enough. Many guys are told that to become more masculine, you need to buy a product, be good with women, or be super jacked. While all of these things may make you seem more masculine, they don't make up for the fact that at the end of the day, you just don't feel man enough. Join us as we explore 6 mindsets to maximize your masculine presence. Before that, let us discuss why a lot of men don't feel manly. The more our self-esteem is tied to our competency or perceived competency, the more debilitating shame will be for us, whether it's coming from us or from others. Robert Augustus Masters. To be a man in our not-so-distant past, men were considered the protectors and providers of civilization and society. Men were often deployed in manual labor or the military.
Usually, the woman stayed at home raising children or tending to the home while the man was out working or fighting. As time has gone on, our society has changed from one centered around hunting and gathering into one centered around manual labor and manufacturing, then finally to knowledge work. As society has become more mind-centric, women have the opportunity to work alongside men in things that were considered traditionally men-only roles. More women than ever are doctors, lawyers, managers, etc. And more women graduate college at higher rates than men. On top of that, we live in a world where war and fighting aren't that common. Thus, men are not needed in the traditional sense for fighting and providing. Since men aren't needed in traditionally masculine roles, some men get insecure and feel as if their masculinity is threatened. And because women can virtually do anything a man can do, males look for signs and advice on masculinity out there. This has made many men retreat even further into themselves and become weaker. However, our new world allows masculinity the opportunity to be developed internally, especially since real masculinity has its roots in a true biological place. Moving on, let's dissect. What is a masculine man? As someone who was born a male, you have anywhere from 10-15x the testosterone of a woman. Testosterone is responsible for a wide variety of different things. However, it is most known for modulating aggressive tendencies and affecting your physical nature. As a young man, this is going to affect your psychological disposition towards life. This is why people are so concerned with testosterone and why the marketing of scammy pills is a multi-million-dollar industry. So biologically, we understand the seed of masculinity is present. But of course, if you don't nourish or water a seed, it doesn't grow. There are things you can do to nourish and water that seed, and it's no surprise that true masculinity can only be developed through challenge. Biologically, someone can be male, but that doesn't make them a man. It doesn't mean they have masculinity. It's also surprising that males tend to take more risks, fight for resources, and in general show more dominance because testosterone drives that forward. In addition to that, we are still biologically hunter-gatherers. It's just that the current thin veneer of civilization covers that up. But if you pierce deeper, and if you get to the core of what people really want, you'll see that often what they portray is different from their deeper desires. But that's a different topic. So the things to become more manly are internal. Becoming more masculine is an inside game. The inside game masculinity is about your actions taken over time. Anyone can be a man today, but it's really about what you do over the long run. It's a way of acting, and that action comes from practices and mindsets. This isn't a complete list. A full list of what you can do to be masculine would be an entire book, which there are many out there. However, here are 6 ways you can develop your masculinity in the meantime. Start putting these into practice. 1. Austerity. Austerity means to eliminate the comforts and cushions in your life that you have learned to snuggle into and lose wakefulness. Take away anything that dulls your edge. Unadorned suffering is the bedmate of masculine growth. Only by staying intimate with your personal suffering can you feel through it to its source. David Deida, Way of the Superior Man. In times past, young men who were developing their masculinity would go for a time without the usual comforts of civilization. This was essentially warrior training, to make them accustomed to conditions where the usual comforts of life weren't accessible. So, eschewing comfort was part of this socialization process. What happens when you embrace comfort is twofold. You want and need comfort to be present in everything. 2. Your standards for what is comfort rise in the modern world. Comfort and indulgence is everywhere, so it takes effort to purposefully build austerity into your life. Implementation. Try to need as little as possible in your life, only the bare essentials. There are so many ways you could do this. You could incorporate intermittent fasting into your life. You could restrict video games. You could be abstinent from sexual activity for a certain period. You try to make your life as basic and dry as possible. This may mean going on a period of monk mode. 2. Sharpen your craft. Self-efficacy and self-reliance are cornerstones of masculinity. In the past, societies would cast boys outside of civilization to help them develop as a man. If he came back, he was considered a man. A man had to provide some value to the tribe or group, which meant he had to develop himself in a useful craft. Implementation. Find a line of work where you can develop your skills and become as good as you can at it. This may involve some sort of schooling. You might be able to find something that you like that sounds like a skill. 3. Stop objectifying women. One thing that men, especially young men, do is objectify women and put them on a pedestal. He makes her a goddess and believes that getting into a relationship with her or having sex with her will solve all of his problems. Again, this is another symptom of seeing masculinity as something out there. But what's the reality? The reality is that women you objectify are people as well. She's a human being with her wants, needs, desires, fears, and insecurities. Men who objectify women will often resort to nice guy type behavior in the presence of attractive women, which makes you look like less of a man. Believing women have qualities that will rescue you from despair is setting you and her up for a terrible interaction. Implementation. Men who objectify women oftentimes don't have much experience with them. The first thing to do is to make female friends. There are some men who moan at this, but this is the first step to realizing that women aren't another species. Do that before you start trying to do anything else. 4. Lead interactions. In any male-female dynamic, the man will naturally be expected to lead the interaction. Many women want you to lead because they were probably socialized not to be too pushy, or they don't want to make you look less masculine. Even in any interaction where you're not one-on-one with a woman, men are often expected to lead groups or interactions. Coming from a Jungian archetypal framework, this is the king energy expressing itself. Implementation. Volunteer to move interactions towards a favorable end for everyone involved. Speak up more often. Give your opinions on things at work. Make plans to do things with your friends. In general, you want to be known as someone who can orchestrate, gather, and most importantly, lead when you have to. 5. Develop physicality. An entire dimension of your psychology rests on the interaction of your physical body and the outside environment. Namely, how easily you're able to maneuver your body in relation to it. Your body has its intelligence, and thus an entire field is dedicated to it, kinesiology. If you aren't finding ways to get physically sharper, you are doing yourself a massive disservice in the attempt to become more masculine, and also a better human in general. Implementation. A lot of guys focus on lifting weights as a way to develop this area of themselves. While strength training is important, it's not everyone's primary cup of tea. Whatever you do, running, swimming, yoga, etc., find some way to become very adept at it. 6. Good routines. What you do every day will come to define you for better or for worse. Therefore, it's always good to have certain practices that route your day into a certain channel. These often come in the form of routines and practices. You need something you do every day or almost every day for it to be a good routine. Implementation. In addition to some of the things mentioned above, working on your craft, exercise, there are many other things you can do in both the morning and the evening to get you ready for the day and to wind you down. If you want some ideas, check out a powerful morning and evening routine for men. And there you have it, ways to improve your masculine presence instantly. Thanks for tuning in. Do like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to tap the bell icon. Reading all the feedback in the comments section down below.